Time will be 6:30. So moving to, roll, can we get roll call, please? Clear steps.
Present.
Mr. Alvarado,
Present.
there's just Jesse Garcia. Um, Eleanor Rios,
Eleanor Rios, can you acknowledge you're present?
Is she on the link?
She's on it, asked her.
Present.
Okay.
present now.
And
Mr.
Dan-
Dante Tifu,
Mr. Dan, can you acknowledge your presence?
Mr. Dante Tifu,
You can't hear.
Dan Tadinko, please acknowledge your presence to the roll call.
He put on the chat here,
oh,
Okay.
so, okay.
Yeah.
so he responded.
Myself, the Mayor Bill Kaya, present at this time.
So that constitutes a quorum, sir?
Yes, sir, we do have a form.
Okay. Sir, if you would like me to go ahead and
Sure.
proceed with the.
Old business.
Sorry, if I may, could we confirm just for the record, the notices that were put out?
The,
Just make
Yeah.
mention on the
Oh.
record when the notices were put out. Mr. Harrison may have that on
Okay,
record.
notices were put out in the government portal on the 19th and on the 23rd of December 2024. The applications, the agenda was also publicized in the Guam Post on the 24th of December and on the 19th of December. So there are additions, and those are available for those who would like to see them. Otherwise,
Thank you.
okay, sir. Well, today, everybody, my name is Marvin Aguilar, housekeeping. This is a two-part meeting. We were trying to condense it. Unfortunately, we had to start a little late. So for the record, we're going to start at 6 o'clock at 6:30, sir,
yes,
and then proceed forward to the
6:30.
6:30 meeting, which is the second advertisement. Okay, in accordance with the open government law. That being said, I would like to refer to the only person who actually wasn't here in the last meeting. If you would like me to go and give you a quick summary of what we're doing, where we're at. And open that up to discussion about the questions you may have at this point.
Just maybe quick, I think go through quick, I can follow along quick and then I'll have questions.
So I'm PowerPoint addicted, so.
Yeah,
If you
that's
don't mind,
fine.
I can do it. If you don't mind, I can skip if you want me to go back. So this project, this is a solar farm project.
Mhm.
It is in the old Cascada Golf Course site, and I'll get into that. It consists of 3 lots, 100-2 R1U-1, 100, that's a little mistake there, 100-2-1U-R5, and 100-2-1U-2.
And two separate projects, two separate applications.
Two separate
Applications.
applications. We were instructed to do so as
Okay.
such because it was just such a large application. And this started off as what Samsung was one of those companies that bid it, provide power resource to GPA. GPA had put out a bid to various providers. Samsung was one of 5. I think they're down to one of 4 now. I don't know where they're at. And this is all under what is a 25-year term power purchase agreement. So basically, they produce the power.
Yep.
They sell it at a lower rate than fossil fuel.
Yep.
To produce for fossil fuel, and that cost is passed on to the.
PPA.
Right.
Good to go.
So the whole SME, subject matter expert think tank, if you will, group it involves Samsung, Korean East West Power, EWP, KEPCO, and we are the boots on the ground, PG engineers, under Mr. Tor Goodmanson's as the principal of our professional company. So we're coming in, and this is an important slide to put up. We're coming in as a conditional use in an agricultural zone. We are not here to rezone the property to M1 or anything more, but they call that's restricted. Property will remain agriculture. So what this means is it has to go through a reviewing process through the government and public input process to best size it up and what they're proposing to do in it in the property as opposed to what is outright permitted like farming.
Question,
Yes,
where
sir.
was there consideration or attempts to rezone? Or
No.
was the determination to just,
It were strictly conditional use. Only because this is a 25-year.
so temporary?
In that sense, yeah, 25 years, right? So, and then there's the possibility that they can re-up it again, depending on how technology, moves.
So if the term expires and they don't continue, it reverts back to agriculture
Yes,
Well, state-
without any further use.
so I guess for the consideration of conditional use.
Hmm.
With what we have in front of us, it's temporary in nature, right? 25 years,
25.
okay,
It's very specific to the structure and the project.
okay. Good to go.
We'd like to, at this time, recognize Mr. Frank Rio, MPC member. Thank you, sir, for showing up.
Thank you.
And first and foremost, I apologize. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for hosting us, allowing us to, move in such a fast pace to try to get this MPC meeting together. It can be challenging, and we are very, very much grateful for you allowing us to do this.
I thank the NBC members who.
And the NPC members, of course, thank you. So, so this property looks like a nice club or a nice pork chop. The larger lot is the large lot, and then we have the two smaller lots. But they're gonna be a unified project, okay, so they will have no boundaries. PV panels will go over to one property, and so forth. To give you an idea where we're located, the Ely River itself is the boundary of its northern boundary. Total Forestry Reserve is to our western boundary, and the former Takayama or River Hills Golf Course is to our right. We border Route 17. The turn there on the road is very it's very distinct. One of our markers to see when you're starting to get on the property is the cemetery across the street. Okay, the second cemetery, I think that's Our Lady of Peace.
Yeah.
Right. So as we mentioned, we're obtaining 3 sets of property. The larger property belongs to a company called Maruhan. That's being purchased right now. The 2 smaller lots belong to Giant Construction, and that's purchased already, if I'm not mistaken.
Where are you at with the Maruhan purchase?
I think they're gonna be closing, they're supposed to have closed before the year end. That's my understanding, so I can't validate that. But that was the target. Do you know? Right. So this is our basic setup. The heavy green are wetlands. The dark browns are natural, are historical sites where we found some artifacts in a previous assessment. The green are wetlands, and we have streams as well throughout the property. So the design was very challenging in this respect. We've elected to keep, or Samsung has elected to keep most of the development, if not all of the development, on the southern side of the Tarzan River. So we're showing this as one of our preliminary designs going all the way up to our property line up north, but that has been, put on hold indefinitely. at this time. We're only gonna be using 46% of available land of the total 461 acre, 641 acres, I think, that we have. There we go. 627 to be correct. And we're only utilize 44 percent of the total land area. Initially, it was all because of wetlands and rivers and streams. And we are already working with Department of Agriculture, Army Corps of Engineer, and other natural resource agencies that are associated with protecting wetlands and rivers. And we continue to do so before we go before the Guam Land Use Commission. As I mentioned earlier, we're stopping development along the Tarzan River. So that's the future project option. Current project focus is everything south of that red line. Okay. So I don't know if you can see all of this. So, you know, the components of a PV plant or a solar farm is you have the battery energy storage, which collects all that, the power from all the different panels. So you see panels in the, what color is that, Kate? Is that greenish blue?
For which one, the PV?
Yeah, the PV area.
Blue,
I like
Okay.
those
like a
people.
light blue.
Yeah, so those are all PV panels. They're being supported or accessed through these access roads that are going to be strategically placed so that they can be serviced. No access ways going over any wetlands. We're avoiding all wetlands up to this point. 50-foot buffers throughout each wetland boundary.
Question,
Yes, sir.
what type of battery storage capacity are you looking at?
It's quite unique because they're expected to be producing energy after dark.
Yeah.
From 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Are they looking at using lithium?
Huh?
Lithium or
It's a different chemistry, but it's a component of lithium. Yeah, but they're all gonna come in containerized versions of it, and there's like at least 16 containers all lined up. So they're all prefabricated at a factory with its fire suppression and air conditioning
fire
systems.
suppression built in?
Okay.
Is that sufficient enough? Or does there need to be, are there extra considerations for, you know, the man-made forest fires that we get in the area?
Well, we are the engineers of record for the fire protection system, so we would vet out the systems that they propose for these containers. And then we would either augment what is necessary under the fire code. So we would have to comply with the building code and the National Fire Protection Act and the National Electrical Safety Code for Guam. So
Anything additional? I mean, I know they're rewriting the code specifically for the
hopefully,
lithium item.
yeah, it's
I
going
mean,
through.
especially what happened with Lahaina, I mean, that for, you know,
Well, currently, we have to follow the NFPA 2017
okay,
and the NEC 2015 and the IPC 2009. So when we seal the drawings for construction, we have to be sure and certify that it's consistent with those codes of standards.
So up to this point, we've identified three aspects of this project as it relates to public and public interest: natural resources, archaeological and historical resources, and recreational resources. One of the things that was actually brought up was the need to identify an access way to the Tarzan. Very, very big public item. And we're at this point, we're looking at how we can provide that. We have three caveats to consider. The plant operational requirements. The actual plant, the operational requirements of the facility. We need to ensure that we're promoting public health and safety throughout, so we're not gonna be sending people like, no, you go through this ravine to get down there, so we have to be really strategic in that respect. And of course, there's always gonna be somebody who wants to get in. So we have to identify potential legal ramifications. As I mentioned in the last meeting, when this project starts up, people will know who owns it. To this point, nobody did. And there was, unrestricted access through it. And now that you're gonna have something built in there, the awareness is heightened. Right, in that respect. So we want to make sure that they're safe for us. The Samsung is safe for them, and of course, the public are safe as well.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So speaking of access, right, so with all the access going and with all the heavy equipment traveling that way to have this project going, how about our roadways going there, our highways that's heading to the place? Are you guys, do we?
At this stage, we will work with DPW if it's necessary, but really the heaviest traffic is during construction for about 2 years.
Yeah.
And then once the project is completed, it's gonna be minimum,
Traffic,
it's gonna be like 5 to 10 people that work on site.
yeah, but during the time, because of the road, our roadways there going to the area is really, really bad, so, yeah. I just want to ask if you guys talk to DPW about.
When we went through and we presented to the agency review committee and public works as part of that. That was not a position statement that they took, but I think as we go forward with the permitting,
Good to bring it up, and I mean,
we have to take a look at that. I understand that the Federal Highways also has a design underway for phase 2. So that already may be in the works, and we don't want to duplicate what they already started.
understood, it's just that being that you guys are gonna do this, so
Yeah.
hopefully maybe you can help us with that, and we help. Maybe get on that side also as well.
Yeah.
Because the roadways are really bad, and that's a,
I don't think,
Yeah.
I don't think Samsung anticipated roadway improvements, but we'll have to note that in their.
I guess what we should just, is like during construction, with all the heavy equipment now, especially in the rain season. I mean, is there gonna be that gonna be addressed as far as like?
Well, Samsung, we're already looking at a washing station. Where all the trucks that are leaving the site have to be water blasted, so they don't cause the mud. So that's already being looked at and designed with our civil engineer. There's gonna be a new water line extension to the center of the project for the new control building. There's gonna be several new ponding basins to capture all stormwater and not prevent stormwater from leaving the site. So they will have ponding basins that settle, have sedimentation, retention. And then if there's just a huge storm, whatever spillways are designed will be water quality that is equal to or better than what is now there with all sheet flow going off site. Because right now you see at Ely, it's nothing but muddy water.
Yeah.
During rain season. Hopefully this project will try to mitigate some of that going into either Tarzan or the Ely River.
Also with the infiltration basins.
Infiltration basins, right, correct.
So. I guess I guess one of aside from the lithium batteries being in a fire prone area. I guess the other concern I have is, I know you guys are just doing the engineering, but has there been analysis on what happened at Marble, right? And because that wasn't during the operational phase, that was during the construction phase. Right, they had that erosion and the topo being what it is, right? And if I'm correct, right, there's still it's a lot of clay deposits there. There's a lot of potential for, shifting of, the way the water is gonna react in the area, right? Is there additional due consideration, towards that?
Well, the diligence that we're taking in the design is that we have just completed a full-scale hydrology study. That means in-water flow from off-site,
Yes.
on-site, and what's exiting the site. And we're capturing that water flow and trying to design the system for stormwater to contain that stormwater to be to be cleaner or better than what is leaving the site.
I guess my question is like understanding the end design, right?
Mm.
But when you start moving heavy equipment in there, right, and you got
Yeah.
dump trucks and excavators tearing up, it starts to rain and they're moving up, that could, have some, change the way the water goes, right? Is there, part of the design, does that include where like, let's say, the construction staging area is
Yeah.
gonna be, as part of it?
You're hitting on the nail.
I think the other thing to
Like-
know
like
that,
that.
Samsung, because they wanted to reduce the amount of earthwork,
Mhm.
the cut and fill on the site, they're leaving a lot of the existing terrain untouched.
Okay,
So whatever vegetation, they're going to as much as 30% slopes to put the PV panels. We started with 10 and 15% slopes that we ended up with a very, very large amount of earthwork that they had to either take off site or redistribute on site. So the goal now is to try to maintain 30% slopes and live with that existing terrain so that they can install them. So hopefully, we're trying to mitigate as much of the concern that happened in Marble. The other thing is, we weren't the construction managers at Marble,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
but I think it was the
the
same
design,
company.
the design had everything supposed to be in every 50
Yep.
acres or so, had to be cleared and graded and then stabilized before you move to the
Yep.
second floor. When we are talking to Guam EPA and the US EPA, that discussion will come up again because of the Marble situation. So we're taking extra caution to ensure that we mitigate problems like that. But again, we're not the construction contractor.
No worries, no
And we're
worries.
not the CM.
And I think I just want to ask that and put that on the record, right? If something does happen, I don't want people looking back saying, MPC didn't do your job, right? You polluted, tars that, and nobody can go there for the next 5, however long.
Yeah.
It's gonna take to remediate.
And then the other thing is they're fully aware of the rainy season. So a lot of our preliminary work in construction, where they're gonna try to do it between October
Yeah.
and March. And once they start going into June and July, it's gonna be very difficult to achieve any work whatsoever. So they're already aware about that. So that's another thing that because of Manila, they have working experience with the Guam weather.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So, once you start the construction, will the public still have access to continue their?
Well, it's gonna be a construction site, right? And so, like every safety officer in a construction company, they're gonna provide perimeter fencing or construction fencing to prohibit the public from going in. Because it is a construction site and they will be liable if there's injury. Now, what Marvin was talking about is after construction, they're seriously considering providing a pedestrian trail to Tarzan Pond.
Hmm.
But it's still gonna have a perimeter fence so that the public does not go into the facility. The other thing is they're trying to eliminate all the feral pigs and the deer, because they will dig up and destroy, right? So that's the other thing is,
Yeah.
the area will be then protected from ungulates, like pigs and deer.
Yeah.
And people with 2 legs going in and doing unwanted things. But
So the general public then will need to find another.
Right, we're working with that, clearly, we're going to be utilizing as much area as possible. Again, there is a safety issue, so we can't, realistically say, okay, this is gonna be the path.
Yeah,
I mean, to make it short, they're not gonna allow 4-wheeling anymore after the project starts, because they're gonna have to put a perimeter fence around the project site for security and safety and to prevent any liability and injury, right?
And one of the things that was discussed at the last meeting as well is that when you're going through PV panels, you're really taking away from the purpose of going on a pipe.
Yeah.
Right, so you want to try to make it as pristine and as natural as possible, and that's quite impossible going through a PV farm. So it's actually looking at ways to get around it, again, making it safe for the public. And when I do say legal ramifications, it's a 2-way street. Right? We want to make sure that we're providing it, and
I'll do the definition.
you do the definition.
We already talked about these points.
so
Yeah.
on the path, the eventual path, what, guarantee is there gonna be, right? So there's a couple, well, what's the project timeline? What's the construction timeline look like?
We were looking at 3 years, but
So,
2025 to 2027 is the construction period. GPA is allowing them 3 years to commission,
yeah,
but because of financing and interest rates climbing, they want to try to get it done before 2
Quickly.
years. The 2 years is their target.
we have to be able to go out to the public, right? Zambia and really the whole island, right? And say, hey, this project's gonna be shut down for a while. Is there any opportunity to be able to tell the, the public, they're gonna get something out of it, right? I mean, I no disrespect, right? You guys do great work and I'd love to take, your work, but what guarantee could, there be that they'll have access at the end, right? What guarantee can we provide to the constituents of Zambia and the general public that, yes, you will be able to access this once the construction period is over, or there will be improvements that will allow you, right? There has to be some guarantee. We gotta be able to provide them.
Well, the one thing that has leverage over the project, for at least like the access to Tarzan Pond, it was mentioned by SHPO, or Department of Parks and Rec. And Parks and Rec is a signatory in the construction permit. So if they don't see a pedestrian walkway to Tarzan Pond, one example, then they may hold up the permit. The other thing is that we have to show a mitigation plan for all the artifacts that we find during construction. We have an archaeologist that will follow construction. When anything's dug up, they have to figure out what to do with it and dispose of the artifacts, either keep them in place, preserve in place, or transfer them to the Guam repository, right, at UOG. It depends on what they find. So all of those agencies have control up to the permitting. And they must see that what we're trying to do in the design for both mitigation in biological and archaeological
which
and
is their.
recreational it has to be in our plans.
Yeah,
So that's the guarantee, it's telling the developer.
It's not a guarantee, sir, but it has to be shown in good faith that we're
Yeah.
trying to achieve what they mentioned in the ARC responses as a position statement.
There is part of the. All that is created,
And ultimately,
condition, so.
Yeah.
You should be stated. People specify what that's stated in the.
okay. Pressing on, I do have this justification. I think we've talked about this throughout the meeting, but I really want to point everybody's attention to the last one, which I put in red. This is a response. This is essentially a government project. It's a response to public law. And by Public Law 3546, the government is expecting island of Guam, the people of Guam, to be 100% dependent on alternative energy before 2045. So that's not too far away. That's 20 years from now. Hopefully it has to be alive, but that's a very aggressive mindset. But it is the law. And so this is a response to that law. Okay. Go ahead. In the sake of time, if anybody has any questions, we can roll over those questions to the next meeting, which we can.
there's more people coming.
Yeah, what time do you have?
When we
I don't know if people are waiting.
So are we?
On 702.
is it, I mean,
When do you
I
want-
thought I was the only one to get the brief. I was the only one who didn't get it, the briefing,
Yeah,
so that if everyone had the information. Well, today.
yes.
Well, we do have to have the second meeting. And we've already announced that the
You
6:30 is
announced
going to
it.
7 o'clock.
Yeah.
But where was it placed on the agenda? The resolution to vote, second meeting?
Second meeting. Yeah, so this one, there are no questions on this first meeting, then I guess we'll adjourn this first meeting. And no more questions or, any concerns of this matter.
Has it been moved to adjourn, Mr. Mayor?
Motion to move, yeah.
A second.
All those in favor?
So, all, Say aye.
Okay.
All those who are not in favor, say nay.
Meeting adjourned.
Okay, at this time, this meeting will be adjourned. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Moving
Okay.
on to our next meeting.
Can you
back in
let
5
me go back into the next one?
5 minutes?
Wait, just 5 minutes.
Okay.
Send out a message.
Then we'll move to the next meeting. So,
For those who are
Oh, stop
online,
the recording,
please
so you do
go to the
next.
next link for the second meeting, please.
Yeah.
Everybody-